Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy. Today we will be discussing whether India is the 6th largest economy in real terms when considering the gross domestic product. So recently there were many news regarding India being the 6th largest economy crossing France. So in this lecture we will analyze how real it is or what is a real situation. Let us have a look at the news. The current affair was that India's GDP, the gross domestic product of our country, is the 6th in the world and we have crossed France. Earlier we were 7th in the position and now we have become 6th, which means we have bypassed France to become the 6th largest economy in the world in terms of GDP. What is GDP? It is gross domestic product. Gross domestic product means the monetary value of all the goods and services produced in an economy in a financial year. We have already discussed about GDP in detail in some previous lectures. So here we will just brief. It is a monetary value and what is considered, only the final goods and services are considered. Intermediate goods and services are not considered. And third important thing is produced within an economy. Means the production must have been taken place within the economy and also fourthly within a time period, that is one financial year. So we have in detail discussed about GDP in some other lectures. If you have any doubt regarding GDP, please go back to the lecture on GDP which is available on my Facebook page. Coming back to our topic, India has become the 6th largest economy in terms of GDP. So if we compare the gross domestic product of economies all over the world, India stands in the 6th position. In this lecture, we will analyze how real it is. Let us see how real it is. First of all, considering the population of India. As we said, India has crossed France. The GDP of India is $2.6 trillion and GDP of France, you will see here, $2.58 trillion. So there is no much difference. There is only a 0.02 difference. So in terms of GDP, there is only a very minute difference between the GDP of France and also India. Secondly, let us see population. India's population is 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion. And what about France? It is 67 million. So 67 million population in France and 1.2 billion in India. So in terms of population, we can say that there is a huge difference between these two countries. India has almost 19 times the population than that of France. But when it comes to GDP, there is only a minor difference, that is $0.02 trillion. But when it comes to the population, see the difference, 1.2 billion in India and 67 million in France. This is a great variation. So considering the population, we can say that it is not a big achievement that we have crossed France. If we calculate the per capita income is national income divided by population. If we calculate the per capita income, we will see that the per capita income of India is very less when we compare that of per capita income in France, because under per capita income, the population is also considered. So population is the factor that decides the per capita income of a country. Therefore, we can say there is a huge difference between the per capita income of India and per capita income of France. So from this, we can say that the GDP figure arrived by using dollar local currency exchange rate. This undermines the true size of the economy. So here the size of the economy is not considered, and that is why we have become the 6th largest economy. The only consideration here is the GDP, and this must be compared with the population. That is not done here. So size of the economy or population in the economy is not taken into consideration. Therefore, we can say that even though in terms of GDP we are the 6th largest economy in the world, in reality we are not. And secondly, India is a low cost economy and also a low value currency economy. So these two factors are also not considered while making this calculation. Now coming to the second important factor, that is purchasing power parity. So purchasing power parity or PPP. What is purchasing power parity? It is the exchange rate system under which exchange rates of various currencies are determined on the basis of their relative purchasing powers in respective countries. So, in case of exchange rate, demand and supply is considered. But in case of purchasing power parity, the value of a currency is determined according to the purchasing power of the currency. Under purchasing power parity, the true value of a currency is considered. Now let us see what is purchasing power parity with an example. Let us take two countries, USA and India. Let us consider few commodities as well. First commodity, Pepsi. This is a sample data. Suppose in USA one bottle of Pepsi costs $1 and in India one bottle of Pepsi costs 25 rupees. Take another commodity, for example, McDonald's burger. Suppose in USA one burger costs $4 and in India let us assume it is 120 rupees. Next, let us consider a phone, a Samsung phone. Suppose in the US it cost $1,000 and in India it cost 40,000 rupees. So like this we will take few commodities or we take a sample of commodities and a sample of commodities are taken, and when we consider the total value, let us assume that when we add all the prices of the sample commodities, in USA it is $1 lakh and when we add the price or value of all the sample commodities in India, it amounts to 22 lakh rupees. And if we compare this two, that is, this is according to the purchasing power parity or the price of the commodities. That is, here we are considering how much of commodities a person can buy with a particular amount of money in India as well as in US. That is a comparison. The purchasing power of a person is compared. So, if we take and compare India with that of US, 22 lakh rupees is required to buy the same commodities in US. So here 22 lakh rupees is required in India to buy a set of commodities. In the US, the same set of commodities will cost $1 lakh. So if we compare this, we will arrive at a definition that $1 equal to 22 rupees. So this is the exchange rate according to purchasing power parity. So this is with regard to the purchasing power parity. But in reality, the exchange rate would be different. And how is an exchange rate derived? Under exchange rate system, supply and demand factors are considered. Let us take an example. We said according to purchasing power parity in our example, $1 equal to 22 rupees. Here we are considering the exchange rate based on supply and demand factors. Let us take the forex market. Forex market deals with foreign exchange or the forex basket. So here let us take price at the y-axis and also quantity at the x-axis. We have the demand curve that is downward sloping. We have the supply curve that is upward sloping. Here this is the price P, this is the quantity Q. In the supply side, what are the factors that affect the supply? Exports, foreign tourist, foreign investment, foreign remittances. All these are the supply side factors because through all this method we receive or forex, foreign exchange is supplied to our country. But on the other hand, we also have the demand curve. What are the demand curve factors? Importers, Indian tourists going abroad, Indian investors, withdrawal of FII, foreign institutional investors, that is withdrawal of shares from the Indian equity market. So all these are the demand factors, and when we compare the demand and supply factors, we arrive at a equilibrium, and this equilibrium will determine the price of rupee and also quantity. So this determines the value of rupee. The demand and the supply factors determine the value of rupee. So like this, when we take the supply and demand factors, the exchange rate would be little higher. For example, in the exchange market, suppose $1 equal to 66 rupees. And when we compare this with that of purchasing power parity has more value for rupee. That is, under the purchasing power parity, you can purchase $1 for 22 rupees. But when it comes to the exchange rate system, what happens? You need 66 rupees in order to purchase $1. So that is the difference between purchasing power parity and exchange rate. Hope this is clear for you. So coming back to our topic, when we consider the purchasing power parity, India's current GDP is around $9.45 trillion. But when it comes to the exchange rate, we said that it is $2.6 trillion. So here we will see the purchasing power parity is higher than the real exchange rate, and if we consider the purchasing power parity, India is the third largest economy in the world. First is US, second is China, and third is India if we consider the purchasing power parity. But this is also meaningless. Why? According to purchasing power parity, we are the third largest economy. Our global rank is 3. But why this is meaningless? Because we are still under the low middle income category country. So how can we say that a low middle income country is the world's third largest economy on the basis of purchasing power parity? No, this is not possible. Why? Because here also the population is not taken into consideration. The per capita income is not calculated. And if we have to move to the category of middle income, the average annual income of a citizen in exchange rate, it should be $4,500 and above if we have to move to the middle income category. And if we want to move to high income category, it should be $12,500 on an average. The average annual income of a citizen in exchange rate terms should be 12,500 if we have to be a high income country. But now what is India's status? It is $2,000 in terms of exchange rate. So we can say that we have a very long way even to reach at the middle income category. Now it is $2,000. We have to attain at least $4,500 average annual income of a citizen if we want to become a middle income country. So it's a very long way to middle income category. Then considering the high income category, it is again a very long way to go for India. And if we consider the PPP, that is purchasing power parity, the average annual income of a person is $7,200. So we are not even a middle income category country. Then how we can claim that we are the third largest economy in the world according to PPP, that is purchasing power parity, and sixth largest economy in the world according to the exchange rate? So in reality this is not true because the population of the country is not considered. And what is a reality under both the calculations, that is PPP purchasing power parity and also exchange rate? If the factor population is taken into consideration, India's rank would be between 140 and 155 globally. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and also the previous current affair lectures are available on my Facebook page. Two associated lectures of this topic, one is regarding the GDP and the second one regarding exchange rate. So detailed lectures of GDP and exchange rate are also available on my Facebook page. Thank you.